family and not eating too much Easter eggs. A bit hard to avoid, but yeah, happy Easter. Here we are on Easter Monday, about midday or so in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and I thought I'd just talk about our Florin, our Australian Aussie Florin. And to tell you the truth, it's actually my favourite coin of all. And I've got a bit of a collection, and I'll show you that soon. But I'll just sort of pull one up and show you. This is one of my favourite coins in my collection. It's also the year of my mother's birth. I put it, that yellow little dot, that was me putting that there. So have a look at that. That's the Australian Florin. That's one example. Now this particular one is a 92.5% silver, and the rest is copper. So very, very high silver content. Now this one's never been cleaned. It's a beautiful coin. It's got some bit of toning around the edge. Now I'll just turn it over so you can see the Obverse. Now in this year, 1944, the actual king at the time, which basically was the king of the whole Commonwealth, not just Britain, was King George VI. And for his own personal reasons, preferred to have photo taken without his royal crowns. Now that's the Obverse. Now this would be considered an extra fine to Unk quality, or some people around the world also call it BU or AU. So there's King George VI. Now some of the actual details as to why you call a coin or how you grade a coin, you know, from good, very good and so forth, all the way up until MS65 or MS70. It's got to do with a lot of the rise, whether or not it's got scratches, whether or not it's been cleaned, how much wear and tear, all those things. It can be quite a dirty coin and still have a very, very high grade. Now some of the differences as to why this one's a high grade is because of the hair around his ears and so forth, that you can see some of the patterns. Also how much rise there actually is on the coin. So we'll just go back to the other side. So here's this is an example of our Florin. Okay, so now just talking about the Florin, here is one in PCG condition. Okay, we'll just put it in there for you, and you guys can have a little looky while I have a talk about the Florin. The florin was used in the Commonwealth of Australia before the decimalisation in 1966. So before we basically went to decimal coin scenario, the denomination was first minted in 1910, and we basically replicated the size and the weight as of the UK florins. And florins were minted from 1910 to 1945. We were all produced with 92.5% sterling silver, and they weighed 11.31 grams, which is about about 3/6 troy ounces, so almost getting close to a troy ounce. Florins minted in 1946 to 1963, so 1963 was the last year they were produced. They produced them with 0.5% silver content, and they were weighed in 11.31, so they did weigh the same, so they made sure of that. They didn't really want to make it too different. It was just the ingredients. They needed the silver for other things because of post-war damage, and times were tough. We couldn't get silver, and silver was very, very expensive in around the world. Now the florin was worth 24 pence, which is pence because of the UK compensation there, now background there to the Commonwealth, but that means basically 2 shillings or 1/10 of a pound. The coin was minted until 1963, and actually some of the years where actual florin wasn't minted in Australia, or even the world, we basically didn't mint our florins in 1920, 29 to 30, 1937, also 48, 49, 50, and we also 1955. Don't know 100%, except that I think they were happy with, again, they were sort of like more the Depression times and also war times, and so we didn't have the protection facilities or the metals to be able to produce. We also produced some Commemorative Florence. There was about 4 of those, and we produced those for various reasons. One in 1927, 34 to 35, and 1951 and 1954. And we used, they were basically there to issued in the end of the commemorative years for 2 different designs. We didn't produce any coins in 1965. All minting was shut down in preparation for the decimalisation when Australia officially decimalised on the 14th of February 1966. And at that time, actually, in 1966, when we changed over to decimal coins, the Florin value was seen as being worth the new Australian 20-cent coin. So, a 20-cent coin in 1966 wouldn't have bought very much, but back in, the Florin would have bought a heap. A Florin would have bought a whole meal for a family during the war and so forth. And one of the things that was also quite interesting, I'll just bring up another one here. Okay, have a look at. This one's the 1926, guys. Yeah, I've got Robo here. I'll just tell you about Robo later. Alright, that's the 1926 one. Let's bring it up. It's just, if you notice, it's a slightly different pattern. I might get rid of the PGS coin. Just put Robo there is a coin holder. Alright, okay, so 1926. Okay, so basically during the World War periods in 1942 to 44, we obviously found it difficult to get metal, and we didn't have the people and so forth to produce, so we basically had some of the production supplemented by coinage produced in actual San Francisco, one of the branches of the US Mint in the United States. These coins bear a small S Mint mark below the coat of arms. So if I grab one, I think I've got one. Oh, this one here, this 44, okay, below the coat of arms. Alright, this one does. I don't have the magnifying glass here, but the coat of arms is this here, okay, which is basically part of a shield. There's the date, 1944. So basically between the two, there should be an S. And I can just make it out, but let's have a look. It's going to be fuzzy when I bring it closer because I don't think the camera's getting it. Yeah, it's finding it struggling because there's too many things in the background to focus. But anyway, there is a little S there. So from a collector's point of view, if you can see that now, tiny little S. And from a collector's point of view, it certainly does bring in the United States flavour, doesn't it? You almost feel like you're up the own our coins. Okay, well, okay. Now, on our coins, generally speaking, on all the florins, on the reverse side, to this side, here, we have the coat of arms. And it consisted of a kangaroo on the left and an emu on the right. And there's the shield containing the coat of arms in the centre. So on this shield, now basically between 1910 and 1936, so in 1938 when we produced some of our next generation of florins, there's a differences. So I just want to tell you there's a difference between the two, then I'll put the two together and you can see that basically those issued between 1910 and 1936 have a 7-pointed star, that there, above the coat of arms, and the Southern Cross constellation within the shield. So within the shield here, that's basically what's called our constellation. Okay, so the Southern Cross constellation, the stars in the sky. Nothing to do with UFOs. Okay, all right. Now, if I bring up this one here, the 1940, I'll bring up this one, the 1940, the one in PCGS, because obviously it's the top coin. Okay, now the difference here is in between 1938 and 1963, inclusive, the Royal Crown sits above the actual coat of arms instead of the 7 stars. See the crown? Alright, so let's just show you the difference. There's that other one. Alright, so there's a star on the top there. Alright, and the crown on the one on the right. I don't know if a lot of people notice that, but it makes a big difference to decoration and decorative. It makes it look like there's a lot more going on. The crown's quite large, isn't it, compared to the star? And now also then within that's the crown there. So within they also got the 6 states of Australia represented in the shield. Okay, so in the shield, instead of being the constellation, there we go, it's representing the states, so you can probably see there's little different symbols inside. So it's quite a lot going on in this one. And we also have I suppose the golden wattle plant as a background. So a little decorative around the place. I'll just show you on this side here and over here. So a little bit of a couple of branches, where here on our original one, nothing there. Okay, just the writing of one Florin and so forth. This also has the word Australian written on the bottom. This doesn't. So there are a few little differences, but at the end of the day, these are the Florins. And I haven't got a 1910, but I do have some 1911. Okay, so as you can see, these are quite worn. To try and get one in PCGS and so forth, it's cost you thousands. So there's a couple there. So these 1910 is very, very difficult to get. There's not many. So this is a 1911, and I'll grab one out to show you up close. Still weighs quite well. There it is there. So it's quite worn, as you can see, on the outside mainly. But a bit smooth. Turn it over. Ooh, different king. Yeah, basically for a lot of the generation. It's a 1927. Now this is actually one of my favourite Florins. I've got I think a dozen or 2 of these. This one's considered, it's actually been freshly graded. It's actually Unk, right, which uncirculated grade. It's got like a slight, I see it's like a slight champagne pink to it, but it's 1927. There's King George V, looking very royal. It's a very, very nice coin. And what this basically was to celebrate our opening and establishment of Australia's own parliament, and our own parliament building in the state of ACT, which is where we basically our parliaments are located, and the actual city is called Canberra, and that became then I suppose the capital territory of Australia, and basically we consider it to be our top city. It's basically between Melbourne and Sydney, closer to Sydney than it is to us.